do not miss talking to this mumbly thing. It's like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Everyone ready?
All right. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August Elizabethton City Schools Board meeting. Dr. May is en route. He called a few moments ago, and you know, when you deliver babies, you just can't always determine when things are happening, but he will be here, so he told us to please go ahead and start without him. So if everyone would please stand, I'm going to ask Mr. Van Hust to lead us in a moment of silence and pledge to the flag.
Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments? If you all are okay, would you be agreeable to take items H, I, and J, look at them as one item? They're kind of all connected. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right. And then also I have to mention I do have a family member listed in the agenda this evening. So any other questions or comments? All right. Item on the floor is to approve the consent and regular agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. It's normally time for citizens to speak, but no one asked to be added to the agenda tonight, so we're going to move on. And I'm going to ask Ms. Penny Nave if she'll come up. We have a student recognition.
Thank you. Good evening. At this time, I'd like to ask for Caden Treadway, an 8th grade student at T.A. Duggar, a former Hare McCormick student, if he would come forward at this time. Caden has volunteered countless hours at Hare McCormick Elementary for pressure washing all the sidewalks around the building by the students' doors, teachers' doors. I think every day that I've been over there in the afternoon, I've been back on Saturdays, I've been on Sunday afternoon, and he's been over there pressure washing. And this summer, going in and out of the building, I don't know how many times I was like, I really want to pressure wash those sidewalks. I would love to pressure wash those sidewalks before we start back to school. And then about a week before we started, I ended up with a stress fracture and ended up in a boot for 2.5 weeks. So I got a phone call at Hare McCormick saying, we have someone that would like to do the pressure washing at the school, and we have a little token, a certificate for volunteer hours and appreciation for Caden Treadway for his work at Hare McCormick.
Thank you very much. When Mr. Van Hust told me about this, I thought, what a cool thing to recognize a student for just volunteering. And that kind of servant's heart is a really cool thing. So thank you very much for doing that. I'm smiling at you. You can't tell, but I'm really smiling at you. All right. It's time for the director's update. So Mr. Van Hust.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start by saying thank you to all of our staff for their incredible work and efforts so far this year to make the start of the school year a success. Flexibility has taken on a new meaning, as you can imagine, not just with staff, but students and parents as well. And you know, we've asked them to be more flexible than ever, and they've delivered. So if you have a chance to see a staff member, custodian, cook, maintenance worker, bus driver, teacher assistant, administrator, I'd appreciate, if you would let them know how much you appreciate them, because it's in a lot of ways, it's a thankless job right now. So just, again, appreciate them so much. I want to recognize a few teachers, Chantal Sostre, Rachel Wagner, and Sarah Heatherly. They're teachers at Elizabethton High School, and they helped out some of the elementary schools with navigating Google Classroom. They went in the afternoons and provided some training for them, and that's a typical example of what is going on right now in our school system and what will need to continue to happen as we move forward, as we try to navigate all of the challenges that we have right now. But I wanted to recognize them for their willingness to do that and help out their fellow teachers. Also, Teresa Robinson and all the school nurses, they've been working so hard to keep the students and staff safe and healthy. They're also involved in any contact tracing that we may have to do when we do have a confirmed case with a staff or a student member, and they're just doing an incredible job. They're so conscientious, and again, they're just working very, very hard as well, so I wanted to recognize them. Also, Dr. Newman and her work on completing the continuous learning plan that we had to submit to the state. That was submitted and approved last week, and you can't even imagine how much work was involved in that, and I appreciate her as well as many other individuals, Mr. Hutchins, Mr. Boatman, Mr. Trent, Mr. Thompson, and Ms. Nicole Moore all helped with various components of that plan, so just want to thank them for their efforts as well. I wanted to inform the board of 2 donations that the school system received. Last week, Franklin Lane of Lane, Thompson, Heating and Cooling donated $5,000 to the school system, $3,000 of which will go toward the Back to School Bash and $2,000 toward the Betsy Book Bus. And so we just really appreciate Mr. Lane and his contribution. That will go a long way to help our students in both of those programs, as well as Vanessa Bentley. She donated earbuds, masks, and hand sanitizer the week before. Again, just more examples of how the community is stepping up and rallying to support our students and our teachers. So we certainly appreciate that. So I wanted to inform the board of those donations. As you know, we started 2 weeks ago with a staggered reentry, and then last week moved into a hybrid plan, an A-B schedule for our students. Again, this has gone well. Obviously, we want to get students back in person as soon as we can, and to that effort, we've sent out some surveys. We've asked all staff to complete a survey by Wednesday afternoon, and we've also posted that for parents. We've asked them to do 1 per household to get their feedback and thoughts on that as well. Again, we understand that there's no perfect solution to this, but trying to balance, again, the health and safety of students and staff, as well as that need for in-person instruction. We're trying to balance both of those things. So at this point, our original plan was to continue with hybrid last week and this week. So my hope would be at this point that we would move forward with the hybrid for 1 more week. That'll give us a little more time to collect all this information, the survey information, and then look at possibly making, if we were going to make any kind of change, possibly after the break, the Labor Day holiday. So we'll see how that goes. Again, there's nothing, we want to get this feedback so we can make an informed decision that will be best for everyone involved. So again, it's gone very, very well. The staff, again, it's given them a chance to kind of get their feet under them with all the things we're asking them to do with distance learners, remote learners, in-person learners, learning new programs. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. And I just can't say enough good things about them and all that they've done. And the staff as well, doing, cooks doing different things. We're making deliveries to students that are distance learners outside each day. So there's tons of things. Cleaning is, grown exponentially through this. So the things we're asking the custodians to do, bus drivers are doing different things. We have some bus drivers that are also now helping with custodial work. So everyone's pitching in and doing anything they can to try to make this a success. So
how many students, distance learners, are they coming in for meals?
We haven't had that many thus far, and so we've looked at some other ideas. If we stay long-term on the hybrid, we would look at maybe possibly doing some deliveries on buses. Oh. But we're holding back on that to kind of see how things play out here in the next few days on what our plans would be moving forward. But part of that is just getting the word out and students knowing that that's available. Mm-hmm. So we're pushing that information out as well. So it's not as many as we would hope. So we'll continue to work on that and try to get that information out. Tomorrow we're going to be introducing a dashboard on our website, and it will update the public on any cases that we have, anyone that's in isolation or quarantine at any of our locations. And our plan will be to update that twice a week, probably on Mondays and Wednesdays, or when we'll update that. So that just goes another step to show transparency to the community on those things. That will be in addition to the letters, email, and/or school messenger calls that we make. It's just another layer to put that out there for the public. Again, I mentioned the school nurses before and all they're doing on that contact tracing, and again, we appreciate that very much. We're also in the process of securing 3 different grants. We're working on a technology grant, a connectivity grant, and a continuous learning plan implementation grant. So I'll be sharing more information with you in the days to come as we continue to work on those, but we feel very good about that's going to allow us to stretch these dollars that we receive through the CARES Act grant. That will allow us to stretch those dollars even more. So we appreciate the opportunity to apply for those. Chromebooks and hotspots. As you know, the Chromebooks are still on back order, so I want to commend the school staffs as well for their work in trying to make that work when we don't have enough devices for everyone. We have enough devices for those students who chose distance learning, but in the hybrid, we don't have enough for everyone. So the school staff, they've done a fantastic job of finding ways to maneuver and work around that for individuals that may not have a device. We've also encouraged families to let their students bring devices, so that's helped as well. The hotspots will be here tomorrow, which is a great thing, so we'll start pushing those out to the needed students. The first, and that's one of the items on here that we're asking the board to consider ratification on, but it's for about 250 hotspots that we can distribute to students. So continue to work on that. Capital projects, update there. Hardening of the entrances, that's going well. They're completing demo work at Elizabethton High School and Harold McCormick, and they're moving right along with that. We're excited about the progress there. East side, there's less work to do there, so it will occur a little bit later, but they continue to move forward. T.A. Duggar restroom renovation, they've begun demo work there today, and they've set up things there as well. On all the principals, they have a very good plan in place on how to maneuver and work around these construction projects. So appreciate their work and flexibility on that. They understand what it's going to bring to their building, so they're willing to sacrifice on the front end. The T.A. Duggar roof project, we should have numbers by September 3rd on that. So there may be a need to have a called meeting to approve that amount so they can start that work. I had some issues finalizing the construction on some of those outbuildings. As you know, I think there's 8 or 9 different buildings on that campus, so it's been a chore. So that's an update on that. Also, a few weeks ago, I think Dr. May mentioned about bipolar ionization. That's an opportunity for us to install some devices in our heating and cooling units that will basically kill germs, and COVID-19 is one of those viruses that it will kill. So we're in the process of determining how much of those units that we could install these in. Our first focus would be some large areas like cafeterias, gymnasiums, the auditorium at T.A. Duggar, those places, and then we would try to start pinpointing some classrooms that we've maybe had issues with in the past. So we're excited about that and what that will bring, and that will not only be a COVID-19 benefit, but also flu, strep, any of those other type things. So just a real quick update on what's going on in the system, and we appreciate you all very much.
Well, I know I speak for the board to say, first of all, thank you. God love you. Nothing like when we were doing the superintendent search, we wanted somebody in place July 1 so that one person would get to do all this fun, and you're doing a great job. And thank you. And thank you for the administrators here at the central office, for our principals, for our teachers, every single person that goes into our buildings. I've talked to parents, and we're very fortunate. I know that a lot of people are frustrated, but for the most part, I think they just know that everybody is doing the best they can. They're doing the best they can, and I've never been prouder. So I think when this is all said and done, we're going to look back, and this is going to be just one of those things where we kind of had to reinvent ourselves. Everybody is, but y'all are doing great, and thank you so much, because I think everybody just knows that, everybody, safety's paramount, but education, and you're trying to balance everything, and I know you're in everybody's prayers, so I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board. So appreciate you so much. All right, shall we get to the regular agenda? or taking items H, I, and J together?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So moving on to the regular agenda, but you said you didn't have anything tonight? No. Okey-doke, double checking. All right, first item on the agenda, approve and ratify the creation of a kindergarten teacher for Eastside Elementary School to meet class size requirements. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
So thank you for your consideration of this item. Each year, when we do tuition enrollment after the first half day of school, which was a little bit different this year, we did it prior to, but I want to commend the elementary principals for all the work they did on the front end to make sure and verify their numbers of the students who would be in attendance. And so this allowed us to serve and meet the needs of those students that were requesting enrollment. And it's a fine line between, taking tuition students and not, but at this particular time, without any guarantee from the state that our funding will remain level at least next year, and this would be a hold harmless year, which I hope the legislature will consider and approve. But without knowing that, this was something we felt was very important, again, because if funding drops, if we do lose students to homeschool and things like that, we need to be able to keep our enrollment up. So,
It always makes me happy when parents want to send their kids here. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right, item on the floor, approve and ratify creation of a kindergarten teacher for Eastside Elementary School to meet the class size requirements. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve and ratify the creation of 5 instructional assistant positions for the 2021 school year to assist with potential COVID-19 absences. These one-year positions would be paid using general purpose funds. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
these 5 positions, obviously one for each school, would provide, the main focus this person would do would be provide some consistency. Should we have, let's say, a staff member, a teacher that's in quarantine, this would allow this person to go into that room and provide some consistency. Whereas right now, if we use substitutes, they can only sub for 3 days a week, and so you're constantly looking for someone else to come in there. So this gives them that, I don't know, a little comfort that they know that they have one other person that they can put in there, and they've already gone through the process of interviewing these individuals, and they've tried to focus on people that have teaching certificates as well. And plus, it's just another opportunity for us to take a look at these individuals and the possibility of them filling roles, vacancies in the future. So I appreciate your consideration on this item.
Questions or comments? All right.
If we do run into a situation where we have a couple of teachers at one school, will we be able to pull from, if they're not being used at this school, pull them and use them at that school?
We have talked to the principals about the fact that that may have to happen, and we've already done that in one situation. You know, at Westside, we pulled other individuals to help the first week of school. So yes, they understand that may be a need based on the situation.
Any other questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve and ratify the creation of 5 instructional assistant positions for the 2021 school year to assist with potential COVID-19 absences. These positions would be paid using general purpose funds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve and ratify a customer agreement between Elizabethton City Schools and Verizon Wireless for internet connectivity hotspots for student households without internet. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you again for your consideration on this item. This is obviously a need for some students in our district, and I've included some information there for you. This will be funded and paid for using CARES Act money, as we've talked about before. So this is not local money that will go toward this, but this will be a huge help for students that don't have internet connection at home. So this is, Verizon came through with this agreement late, or we would have had this in a different form to you, so I appreciate the opportunity to have you ratify this, but we're able to get more devices for more students, less than what we had originally anticipated. So that leaves us some room for some additional devices down the road if we need those. So we're excited about this and the opportunities and the needs that it'll meet for students.
Well, this just pushed us into the 21st century
Kicking
finally,
and
didn't it? Anybody have any questions or comments?
I mean, you feel the Chromebooks come in, we've got these hotspots. Anything else you see coming down the future? Is that really, you feel like?
From a technology standpoint, I think that puts us in pretty good shape. Also, part of the CARES Act, we've put in there to purchase some document cameras and things like that for teachers to help with their online instruction. But it's the same story, technology just back order now. So there's some devices like that we still need, but those are the two big things. Once the hotspots is a big item, and then once we get the Chromebooks in, it will help instruction overall to help teachers be able to streamline their instruction for in-person and distance learners.
An estimated kind of time frame while they telling you Chromebook wise?
Maybe October. So we have another, month and a half, that we're going to have to deal with this. And again, that changes, seems like almost daily, but we're higher up in the queue than most are in our area because we placed the order in early June. And so that's our hope, is that they'll be here obviously as quick as they can. But again, people continue to be flexible, and we know that it's difficult. It's difficult on teachers and parents and students. And we just appreciate their understanding that there's no playbook for this. We're all, in a sense, drawing it up in the dirt, and that's just the reality. But we have great people that continue to come up with great ideas to make it as manageable as possible.
I have a question that's maybe slightly related to this.
Sure.
But I don't really know where else to ask it yet. Are we experiencing any needs within our infrastructure that are outside of our control? And by that I mean, thus far in our virtual, have we found that we have network issues that maybe Verizon or the city could help us with?
At this point, I haven't specifically about infrastructure as far as technology goes. We haven't seen any of those issues. We haven't had issues where anything's crashed or anything like that. I shouldn't have said that, but at this point, we haven't. So we're thankful for that.
Knock on that.
But thank you. But what we have noticed, and one thing that we could potentially be bringing to you in the future, is we need more technology. I would say an instructional technology coach, much like the position that we have at Elizabethton High School. There are more needs than just at Elizabethton High School. Obviously, the elementaries and T.A. Duggar as well. So part of these other grants that I referenced earlier, my hope is that we may have some savings in those areas where we can maybe look at some additional staff to help teachers with something simple as, how do I record a video and upload it, into Google Classroom? That sounds like, well, you can sit down. Well, all the other instructional things they have going on, that's just one example of some of the things that we want to have someone that's dedicated to be able to help them. They can go and research how to do that and come in and say, all right, here's how you do that. That's, and I think that's part of the feedback we're asking for teachers is, what are those top needs? So that's one that, in my mind, I think will come out of this, but we'll see what those results are. But as far as an infrastructure part, as far as technology, we haven't experienced any of those, and that just, I think that's a reflection on the fact the technology department's done a great job preparing us, at least from a network standpoint, to be able to provide those services.
Good.
Any other questions or comments? Item on the floor is approve and ratify a customer agreement between Elizabethton City Schools and Verizon Wireless for internet connectivity hotspots in student households without internet connectivity. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve changes to signature cards held at Citizens Bank due to changes in personnel within Elizabethton City Schools. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Not much to this one, just we need other signatures to be able to pay the bills, so,
Kind of important.
yes.
Anybody have any questions or comments? All right. Item on the floor, approve changes to signature cards held at Citizens Bank due to changes in personnel within the Elizabethton City Schools. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approved the clinical practice and partnership agreement between Elizabethton City Schools and Milligan University for the 2020-2021 school year. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
This is a document that we approve each year, and this is basically to allow interns and student teachers to be placed within the school system. It's obviously going to look a little bit different this year than it has in the past. I know that we had a conference call today with some individuals from Milligan about the possibility of doing some online tutoring in
Oh,
lieu of
yeah.
some of these, in lieu of some of these hours that they normally do in person. And so everyone's trying to be creative on ways to blend and fold these things into instruction.
That's a great idea. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, item on the floor is approve the clinical practice and partnership agreement between Elizabethton City Schools and Milligan University for the 2020-21 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve the approve the grant contract between the State of Tennessee Department of Human Services and Elizabethton City Schools for the provision of pre-employment transition services, transition school to work program. I read that 4 times before this thing, beginning October 1, 2020 and ending September 30, 2021. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank
Can
you.
you
Have a
read that
second?
one more time?
No, I cannot.
Okay, then
Not
I'll
well.
second- Then I'll second it.
If ever something needed
That was
punctuation.
just in honor of Tyler.
Thank you.
We've had this grant for several years, and it provides a transition coach for Elizabethton High School, and this person works with our special population students as they begin transitioning out of high school and into post-secondary or the workforce. So this is a great grant. The transition coach we have, it's Miss Cindy Elliott. She's stationed at the high school, and she does a great job. So we're very fortunate to have her, but this is just a continuation. We have to apply for this grant yearly, and we were fortunate enough to be awarded that grant again. So it's great for our students.
Anybody have any questions or comments? That's the most tongue-twisty grant ever, but I will happily read it again, and y'all can chuckle as I do it. All right. Item on the floor is to approve the grant contract between the State of Tennessee Department of Human Services and Elizabethton City Schools for the provision of pre-employment transition services, transition school to work program beginning October 1, 2020 and ending September 30, 2021. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve the creation of a 10-month part-time, 5 hours a week office assistant position for the central office. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you.
This particular position would help out in the front of the central office in the reception area. Currently, the person that handles most of these duties is also paid partially out of food service. And as you know, there are lots of challenges there, especially this year. And this person typically, if there's an issue with someone maybe being out at one of the schools, one of the cafeteria workers, this person goes to help with that. They also do things with helping check the coolers to make sure that they're still operating and things like that in the summer. So this person has a lot of things to do, but the main reason for this is we need some help up front to make sure that we always have someone there to greet the public if there are deliveries and things like that. And currently we're using another employee to help with this, but this part of this person's duties is also insurance. And so there are several times that they're dealing with things with individuals that could potentially create a HIPAA violation, privacy and things like that. And most of the people that work back there are in similar type things. You have people in payroll and things like that. So it makes it very difficult to cover that. And so that's the reason for this request, and it will really help out with our ability to greet the public in the right way. So I'd appreciate your consideration on this one.
Any questions or comments? All right. Item on the floor, approve the creation of a 10-month part-time, 5 hours a week office assistant position for the central office. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we're going to look at 3, so they're short. Approve on first reading new board policy 6.3041, Title IX, sexual harassment. Approve on first reading revised board policy 6.305, student concerns. And approve on first reading revised board policy 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, the first one of these, 6.3041, is the Title IX and sexual harassment policy. And this is a major revision. The legislature, actually the federal government, made some big changes to Title IX, and so this policy reflects that. And I can, if you want to thumb through, if you want to, I can hit a couple of highlights here, but part of this is we are required to have a Title IX coordinator, or you can have coordinators. So basically what we've done is we have one individual at the central office that's a coordinator, and then each building principal is also a coordinator. So they will help organize these things if and when we have a complaint. So then once there's a complaint, and part of this policy is also the procedures that person goes through, the notification, those requirements. Then once a complaint is received, then there's an investigation that's completed. And the investigators will also be the Title IX coordinators, so those same individuals. So the Title IX coordinator and the investigators can be the same person. So that's kind of the structure there. There are also guidelines in here and those procedures on how and what detail need to be included, which is very extensive. We've already had a training, all of our administrators had a training with Miss Owen, with Jackson, Shields, Yiser, and Holt to begin that process. Part of this change is that we're required to complete that training. So we've done that. That's step one on that. Step two is to get this policy in place. Then there's what's called a decision maker who determines responsibility for that. And we've outlined those two individuals here at the central office. And then there's an appeal, and the appeal would be to me. So the decision makers would be based on positions. We've listed in here what their titles are, but it would be Mr. Boatman and Dr. Newman. Those would be the two decision makers moving forward.
She's pointing.
And oh yes, I'm sorry, and Travis. So we have three. My apologies. Yes, the director of accountability. Yes, so we have three. That way we can cover any situation. If, for instance, one is out, we still have others in place as well. So I bet Travis wish I'd left him off that. So yes, so this is a much more involved process, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And so we continue to work through all those requirements. So that is that particular policy. Does anyone have any questions on that one? Okay. The next one is student concerns. It's 6.305. The real change for this one is because of the next policy that we're going to talk about. It takes out the discrimination, harassment, and grievance procedures and creates an entirely new policy. So that's all that's on 6.305. It takes out that section. So then if you look at 6.304, there are some things that change in this. Students' discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation. And if you look through there, there's some training requirements that we have to follow. We continue to work with Ms. Owen on the different forms and procedures that we need to have in place, and anything that we need to change based on what we currently have. Then over on page 3, it outlines the procedure for the investigation and reports and the timeline that's associated with that. That's located on lines 28 through 34 on page 3. So those are the big items. Then on page 4, it lists who the appeals may be made to, and that's going to be the assistant director of schools over operations, which is Mr. Hutchins. So we're sharing the wealth at this meeting, and he is equally as excited about having his title in that spot. So a lot of this is cleanup language. As you can tell from this one, there are tons of things that are being moved, and these are all in response to changes in legislation.
Yeah, everybody's getting to do that.
Yes, yes, they are in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
So
this has been, so we've got TSBA is their language, and then we've had it vetted by Deborah.
yes, we have.
So we're in good shape.
Yes, we have.
Anybody have any questions on those? I'm glad we put these together, because when I was reading it, I saw that a big chunk was out of the student concerns, and then it's good to know that it's being dealt with on the next one, so. All right, any questions or comments? All right. Item on the floor, approve on first reading Board Policy 6.3041, Title IX and Sexual Harassment. Board Policy 6.305, Student Concerns, and Board Policy 6.304, Student Discrimination, Harassment, Bullying, Cyberbullying, and Intimidation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, here, 6:30 at the Mac Pierce Boardroom. Again, thank you all so much for all your hard work, and you're in our thoughts and our prayers. Please know that. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Good evening.